Hey, and welcome to the final video in our SEO series here. This video, we're going to talk about SEO measurement in a very limited sense. What I want to run you through in this video is just an initial way to have your finger on the pulse to understand if the SEO that you're doing is working for you or not. Now, there's a lot more complicated things that we could do in terms of tracking our SEO, in terms of looking at our effectiveness, what's right, what's wrong. But in this video, what I want to focus on is really just giving you those first little bits and pieces to start stepping out and having confidence in SEO and having confidence in checking the results by yourself and being able to see them and then know if you have a problem or if potentially you're having a runaway success and you need to double down. So let's move on. So what I want to cover here is pretty much just what tools you should be using, what to track, and what to focus on when reviewing these types of reports. And specifically, we move into tools. I want you to set yourself up with Ahrefs and Google Analytics. They're the minimum that I recommend in terms of setting up, right? So Ahrefs, as I've said, you can use an alternative such as SEMrush. You can use an alternative such as Moz. There's many others out there that you could use. But essentially what you want is some form of rank tracker that is going to look at where you rank organically, look at what kind of keywords are in the top of Google for your website, so you can follow and track that, right? Because ultimately we do this keyword research, we want to track those keywords and see if we're successful in ranking in #1 for Google with them, so that we can get the traffic and the targeted sort of leads or signups or whatever that we want, right? That's the end goal, but we still got to figure out how we track the start goal, because you're not going to get the end unless you get that ranking first. So if you're going to set yourself up with Ahrefs, as I've mentioned many times here, it or its competitors will generally have a similar setup. But what you should be doing is making sure you get in here, set up your business with it. Usually they have a really good walkthrough on how to do that. So I won't go too far and too deep into that specifically. You want to have completed your KOB, right? The keyword or the keyword tracking sheet or whatever you want to call it. I want you to do that research and then add all that research to that spreadsheet and then re-add it into here. Now it's going to feel like a lot more work than it needs to be. And to some degree it sort of is, but you will not get that clarity by just doing all this and adding keywords into Ahrefs, into the rank tracker by just doing it on the fly and then adding them in. What you'll get is a ton of junk that you're not really sure what to prioritize with. And the point of exporting that and putting it all in the spreadsheet that we did previously was so that you have a really clear understanding of how important each keyword is. And you have to manually look at that, because it's very easy to get lazy. It's very easy to sort of just go, oh, well, I need to move fast. And some things just require time to make sure you get the setup right, because everything after this, all the work and time and effort and money even that you put into this afterwards, is going to be the foundation of that is going to be these keywords being correct. So you want to do that sheet. Once you've done that sheet, upload those keywords back into Ahrefs. Very straightforward process. That's the minimum in terms of setting Ahrefs up. Google Analytics, I recommend setting up. You should probably already have that set up across your website, which shouldn't be a problem for you. I would assume that you have set up the tracking when you first get the website up. Most CMSs will probably already have some kind of spot where you can set up Google Analytics and some kind of help doc to help you do that. So it's not very difficult if you don't have it done. I am going to be talking about universal analytics in this video. Some of you may be familiar that there is GA4 that's coming out. It's still largely in beta. And for that reason, I'm not going to be covering it in this video and in what we should be looking at, because I just think there's too much subject to change, and that would lead to probably revision of this video more often than it needs to happen. So if you set up Google tracking on your site, should be the first one, the minimum part of your setup. The second is setting up conversions, right? You want to set up a conversion. Now, a conversion for you is going to depend on your SaaS business, but I would say that it's going to be predominantly either a sign up, when someone actually does a sign up, goes through the process, and they're a user, or a lead, some kind of contact or demo request lead, right? They're the things that are close to the money for you. They're what should be set up as a conversion. I do also recommend setting up events. Events can track all sorts of different things. They're not generally close to the conversion side. Events are more like a button click, someone press play on a video that you've got, those sorts of things. Those sorts of things will help you in the future if you set that sort of stuff up now. But we won't be looking too hard at events in this video. I just wanted to mention it before we move on. So in terms of reports, what reports you should be looking at, we're going to be focusing on just 4 reports here. And the reason just 4 is because I just want to keep it simple. I want to give you a touchstone in terms of how are things going, you know, what's the truth behind how well the SEO is going. And I think if we get into complicated dashboards or setups with Data Studio and stuff like that, for many people, if you're not already familiar with it, it almost requires its own video to go into and how to do that as well, which is sort of outside of the scope of this course right now, but something perhaps could be done in the future about it if there's a need for it. So I want to set you up with two reports to look at in Ahrefs and then 2 to look at in Google Analytics. And that's enough, I think, to give you a direction in terms of, is my SEO working? Are these things going to convert for me? How are things going overall? And then as you start to be comfortable in tracking SEO and doing SEO and measuring SEO, you can start to move outwards and start experimenting or looking up other, other reports that you might do and sort of trying to figure out how you can sort of get more complicated. But I think in the beginning, this is going to be more than enough. And so it's Ahrefs, we're going to be looking at site audit and the rank tracker. And for Google Analytics, I want you to be just having a quick look at the channels report and the landing page report, right? So if you look at just those 4, I think that's going to give you enough on a monthly basis, especially as like if you're just a small SaaS, you're just starting in this scenario, it's going to give you enough to look at on a monthly basis to make directional changes or to give you an idea of success failure so far. So moving on, let's look at Ahrefs Rank Tracker in the beginning. So the Rank Tracker, as I said, it's basically going to give you your keyword positions. So once your KOB is done, you want to add all those keywords into here, at least the ones that are going to be relevant to you. So if you do find some that you find aren't going to be relevant in terms of like there's not enough keyword volume for them, like it's 0, there's not enough intent, there's no intent for that keyword as well or something like that, you just thought it would be good, then probably it's not worth putting into here. But you want to get those ones that have some keyword volume. You've looked through the business metric side of it. Do they have intent behind them? How likely are these people to buy from me, etc. Then you should be putting that into this rank tracker. And I recommend that you track this stuff monthly, right? So you want to look at the keywords on a monthly basis. Now, normally these tools, when you do set them up, they will send you an email report every week telling you how keyword movements have happened for you, which is really like handy to do just as a weekly check-in, see if there's anything big moving around. Generally, though, I think the most helpful view is in a month-on-month view because it's really easy to knee-jerk react to like a drop by 3 places in Google. And then if you had left it, it'd shoot back up 5 places. Google is sort of almost always trying to figure out what goes where and rearranging things until you're in more or less the top 3 results of Google. Then things get a bit slower in terms of moving around, right? But I recommend you jump into your Ahrefs and check this report monthly. Check them monthly, the last 30 days, see how things have done. You want to see everything as an aggregate and see, are we generally having an upward movement or a downward movement? And then from there, you can start investigating and thinking about, what might be the causes for that if that happens. So yeah, what I don't recommend you doing with this report is knee-jerk reacting to ups and downs, as already said, and just adding any keyword that comes to your head or overcomplicating, this process. It's as simple as going through their flow and setting keywords up, which I'll show you in just a second, and then just letting it do its job. You don't have to spend hours in this every month. I think you can spend up to, 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes every month if things are going good and just move on. And if they're not, then investigation there is warranted. And that's up to you to sort of make that judgment. It's a very case-by-case basis and hard to give you a guideline. But let's jump into Ahrefs Rank Tracker and I'll show you a little bit around that, which I think I already have previously, but just to make sure we've got it on record here. So if you're in Ahrefs, you'll see the top dashboard here, dashboard, site explorer, blah, blah, blah. Rank tracker is just here. And what you want to do is just log into your account, click rank tracker, and you should see all the keywords that you've added in like we see here. So what you can see, the detail that this gives you here is your keyword, the position it is in Google, the volume of that keyword on a monthly basis based on the country that you've targeted to. And you can see the country we've targeted to is over here on the end here. And the location for this particular website is United Kingdom, right? And then you'll get the URL as well. So you can see that for this keyword, BuyBot Pro review, we rank number 5. So on the first page of Google, it's got 40 searches a month, and the URL we're ranking for is the BuyBot Pro URL, right? Which is what you would expect. They're the main points that I want you to just pay attention to. I want you to skip out and not worry too much about looking at, you know, these sorts of graphs, dropping this stuff down, unless you've got a specific reason to investigate further. I think for the most part, I just want you to get you into the habit of checking these things on a monthly basis, making sure things are going well. What generally happens when you start doing SEO, people will hear, I hate to do SEO, I need to write content, I need to fix my technical issues, write content and get links. And what they'll do is they'll get focused on writing content and getting links as much as possible, but they won't look at where the results are, right? You don't want to like just only do output and forget that like it should be leading to the result. And if you're doing this output, and you're not checking in here relatively regularly, you don't know how effective you're being, right? You don't know that, you know, maybe this BuyBot Pro is number 1 and you didn't need to worry about it. Or you don't know that it was number 25 and you need to stop putting links towards one of these other keywords, one of these other pages, sorry, to rank for a different keyword, right? You need to be checking in on this and just seeing how things are going. So you can see here, this position says 5 for BuyBot Pro, no movement in the last 30 days. But then you can see some of the others with the arrows that are pretty self-explanatory. Tactical arbitrage discount code. It's in position 8 now. It's come down 2, so it was in position 6 in the last 30 days. So it's a downward ranking. How to use tactical arbitrage? It's up 2 positions. So it was in position 6, and now it's up to 4. So you can see these movements. So what you want to do generally when you get into here is you just want to be checking like, hey, are we doing trends up, trends down? What's had big movements? What hasn't had big movements? And that's about it. What does Amazon FBA mean? You know, down 28, we're at 92. We're nearly out of the top 10 pages of Google. So that's another important note while we're here on that particular point. These tools will generally only track the first 10 pages of Google, so the first 100 results. If you're outside of that, it'll say, you know, I think it says 101, here, greater than 100, right? So you're outside of page 10. You could be on page 11, the second result on page 11, and it won't tell us that. It can only go so deep in these things, and they've got to deal with the resources to do that. So what you want to see, what you want to do with this is when you upload all your keywords for KOB and you start writing content and you put the content on your site, you want to come back in and check this within a week or 2 and then in a month and just see where that content lands and see how it's going, right? And if it's continuing to upward movement, the rule of thumb really is like, hey, I've targeted, say, this page to this keyword and I've just posted it in and it's upward moving. It's moving up pretty well. I'm not going to change anything on that page just yet until Google finds sort of a steady state for it. And you'll know that it'll stop moving around week on week or something like that. And then you go, okay, maybe I need more links. Maybe I could, you know, make the content deeper or something like that. And then you've got an idea of how strong your content is out the gate. So that's the rank tracker, right? There's not a whole lot else I think you should do with this if you're definitely in the beginning stages. The only other thing I would say is that there's a tagging feature in this, which is really helpful. And I think most keyword trackers will have this, where you can tag tools. You can see this little thing, tag keywords. You can see this little tools tag I have here for BuyBot Pro reviews, just to say, hey, this is a tools keyword. So you can filter by that, right? So I can filter by the tags I've got. So what I would recommend when you do this is, unlike this setup, which should have all these prioritization in, you add this in. So if this is a priority tag for you, you can add a tag by writing it in here, or when you add the keyword in itself, you can add a tag in. And you add it as priority. So the unicorn keywords we spoke about, I would recommend when you upload the unicorn keywords or the most important keywords to you, the high intent, more than likely to convert keywords, you tag them as priority. So that when you come to, say, your rank tracker like this, you could do something like this and you would go, you know, only show me the priority keywords right now because they're the ones we're focused on. See, all of these are tools. So you could do that. And I would recommend that because it makes it's so much easier for you to focus in on what the real converting keywords are doing and how they're moving when you review this once a month versus what every keyword's doing. And you might have all sorts of ones for blog posts you put in here, which maybe not converting, but are going to be important to talk about. So that's it in terms of keyword tracking. Now I said I'd show you how to add keywords. So it's simple as adding keywords over here when you go to your rank tracker and you just add in whatever you've got to add in. So I might put in like email marketing right? As a keyword, I can add a tag down here, priority. And then I've already got the location selected as United Kingdom, right? So you can add a keyword to multiple locations. There's all sorts of guides on this, so I won't go too far into it, but you know, I'll tag it as priority, and then all I've got to do from there, I think, is just press enter. Been a while since I've actually had to add any keywords. Oh, sorry, that's why I was lost. Add keywords, right? And it'll add it in for me automatically. So you can do that. If you've already done this KOB stuff, you already know the volume that this has got and how important that keyword is. So you don't need that. You just copy and paste. You can pretty much just copy all of those rows out and then just paste that in, and you're good to go. So that's it for the rank tracker. This is probably going to take a minute to load itself up and to sort of add that keyword as it usually does. And then if I have a look at priority tag now, you'll see that it shows me just this keyword. There's no URL and no traffic or anything for that yet, because it's trying to find if we rank for that keyword, and it'll take it usually a couple of minutes, maybe an hour to figure that out. We won't rank for that right now. As far as I'm concerned, this site wouldn't rank for that because there's no content for it. But as an illustration, you get the picture. So that's it for rank tracker. So to go back and sort of cover off what I was saying here for rank tracker, I want you to add in your keywords from the KOB. I want you to check it once a month to see how your positions are going. I want you to make sure you get weekly reports just for a quick scan on a Monday morning. I get it to send. You can choose when you want it to send it to you. But for me, if it sends to me Sunday night, I have a quick look. Okay, great. And then I just sort of move on. Unless something big is happening, you know, our main keyword dropped from number 1 to number 25 for something overnight, I'm not too concerned about like being super hyper focused. So I'm not knee-jerk reacting, as I said. And I'm not overcomplicating things, right? I'm just trying to keep a finger on the pulse, how things are going as I write content. Number 2, the second one I want you to look at is the Ahrefs site audit tool. Now, the site audit tool basically crawls the website like Google does, and it attempts to basically use a ton of rules and best practice rules to identify best practices and things that aren't aligned on the technical side of your website, right? So it'll do that on a weekly basis as well. When you set your website up into a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush, and it'll generally give you a report and a score. Most of these things give you some form of score. So Ahrefs itself will give you a score out of 100, and it'll say, look, 99 or 100 is the best, 0 is the worst, right? So what you want to do in this scenario is you want to try and get that score trending up towards the 99. And by doing that, you're going to address all the issues that these reports identify for you, right? So it's sort of like a passive technical SEO audit. The thing is, they're not very comprehensive in terms of like, you know, they're using very general rules for most websites, and that may not apply to your site. And in very many cases, some things it might recommend as like a low-level recommendations or something you can completely ignore. And sometimes you shouldn't. It just really depends on where your SEO is. But for you, what I want you to do is to focus on errors first when you do this. And I'll show you one of these. I'll show you the tool in a second. But you're looking for a score to try and get up to 99 or 100. To get it up there, you're focusing on resolving any errors that it identifies for you, right? And importantly, when you are identifying and fixing these errors, it's important to know that like you don't have to identify and fix all of them in one go before you start doing content, before you do your keyword research, right? You can do all that simultaneously. You can methodically work through all of this, and that's the most realistic way to work through these errors and try and get your, you know, your audit score higher, and to make sure that your SEO is being, you know, improved on. And last but not least, if you do identify things in here, or the tool identifies something that is complicated, super complicated, you don't get it, bring in a professional, ask somebody, maybe ask in the Slack channel here, or reach out to someone that you know and say, hey, I'm having this issue with this thing, and bring them in to fix that particular problem if you have to. I know that sometimes when you are bootstrapping, it's tough to sort of shell that cash out, but it's good to know that like you can probably go to someone and say, I just need a specific problem. I'm not ready for full SEO services yet, but I don't understand this particular thing, right? I would highly recommend that, because you want to make sure that if you are resolving these issues and they're a bit over your head, that they're being implemented correctly. So let's take a look at the tool to get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So here's an example. You see the health score is this score that I was talking about out of 100. So this one's at 99, excellent score. You can see the issues that it's got. Issues distribution, 707 issues. 1 is an error. 401 of them are warnings, and 305 are notices, right? So what I was saying before is you want to focus on these errors, reduce those down. You know, we're at 99 because we've got only one error, but you can see we've got a lot of warnings and notices, which we've ignored to this point, right? These warnings and notices are helpful things you should be thinking about for SEO, but they're not things that you need to laser focus in on straight away. And maybe in a beginner stage, it's better for you probably to look at how do I start producing more content and getting more links over hyper focusing on all the technical side of things, because the technical side of things can hold you back if there's big errors on the site. But if you've got warnings and notices, people rank for stuff all the time with those sorts of things showing. So don't get too hyper focused. Keep it simple, focus on resolving errors, and then moving through content links. They're the biggest ways you're going to move yourself forward. So you can see here that if I scroll down, I get the top issues, which is basically just like a graphical version of what those issues actually are. I see the actual error in red here is page has links to a broken page. Okay. What else have we got? We've got slow pages, 190 of them. We've got 66 where the title is too long. So that'd be the page title that we looked at in the previous videos. 49 images are missing alt text, all these sorts of little things that we've spoken about in bits and pieces in this course already. You know, they're all warnings that we could go ahead and fix up. But really, if you've run your site through this, you want to be focusing on fixing this. So you can see I can click this, it'll drop down and show me the details and maybe give me a suggestion on how to fix it. And I can view what pages is broken, right? And it's this coronavirus restaurant updates page. And the problem is here that this external link we had to a government website is broken. Easy fix, I remove the link or I change the link to the right resource and move on, and we should have a 100 score. But you can see how this is a great way to keep your finger on the pulse in terms of your technical SEO. How are things going? What's our score at? Now, if I go back to this particular client, you can see here that 22nd of November, 2021, the health score here, this column here, you can see this column here, sorry, that 75 was the score. We made some changes in that over that day, and we shot up 24 points to 99%, right? So you can see from there, it's held pretty true at 99%, no real issues. You know, total URLs, caught is fine, internal pay, all this sort of stuff is whatever. But you can see that we fixed that over, it was an easy fix actually. I think it was mostly just some redirects and broken pages that we fixed up, and it shot us right out there. But because we get this done, because we've had this here, we've got this thing that we can sort of go in and check in on and say, hey, you know, how are we doing technically? How are things moving forward? So I want you to check on this. I think this is the same sort of thing that you could just check on once a month until you sort of, you know, or work on it a little bit every month until you get up to this 99%. And then I think more than likely, you can probably just check in on this every couple of months and just go, hey, you know, did this move? No, oh, there's a couple of little errors. All right, we'll fix those up. But for the most part, you should be fine to just get this score up and know that your technical stuff is good, at least in the broad sense, right? So that's the second report. So recapping the Ahrefs report, rank tracker, I recommend you check your rank tracker once every month. Look at the last 30 days, the general trends of keywords. I recommend that you put all your KB keywords in here and make sure that you've got the high intent ones tagged as priority. And don't knee jerk and overreact if something goes down a little bit. It's totally normal in SEO. Second, check this site audit once a month as you fix up these errors. And then after you've done that, you probably check this once every 2 or 3 months and just see, you know, if things have moved. It's really simple to check. Just click on the site audit at the top here. Oh, we're in 99 still. Good times. Nothing needs to be done right now. Move on. Alrighty. So there's the 2 reports for Ahrefs. I feel like that gives you a good pulse on keywords and technical SEO over time. Now we jump into Google Analytics. So Google Analytics, the first report I recommend is a channels report. You can find it under acquisitions, all traffic channels. So you can see here, the picture here, you get that sidebar in Universal Analytics, acquisition, all traffic drop down, then channels. And you can see that the rest of the image is cut off, but we'll have a look at that in a second. So this basically lists out all the channels that you get traffic from. So organic, you know, social, that sort of stuff. And what you want to do here, obviously, is just hyper focus on just the organic line, right? That's the one we want to focus on in this scenario, SEO related. So my recommendation is when you check in on this, you know, check on it month to month, the same sort of thing. It's easy to just pick a day. It could be the middle of the month if you want, I guess. But like I like to pick, you know, first of the month or in the first week of the month, so you can just have a good view on how did all of last month go versus all of the month before. So you can have a look at that. Look at it month to month. You're looking really, when you look at this site, this report, you're looking for large traffic fluctuations, changes in the bounce rate or changes in conversions, either largely up or down. And what you're trying to do when you look at this line is you're trying to say, you know, have there been any really big ups or downs or changes here? How do things sort of in the aggregate from organic traffic look? How is organic traffic basically responding at a large, like top-down level? And if you have big ups or downs, that's where you want to start to dig in and investigate then, like, okay, did we rank for a new high volume keyword? You could go back to Ahrefs and check that. You know, what page was that going to? If we had a large bounce rate go up, like, okay, let me check that page, you know, and see what's wrong with it, right? So it sort of gives you just this really top-down view on assessing how the traffic's going from your SEO efforts. So the ideal scenario when you look at this is going to be you get high traffic, low bounce rate, high conversions, right? That's sort of like the unicorn metrics from, for lack of a better phrase, right? That's what we want to see. Now, it's not going to be something that's going to always be like that. You might have some really good months where it looks like that, and then, you know, traffic dips off a bit. Your definition of high conversions might go up a little bit. You go, hey, 5% was good, but now we want 8 or 10, and that's fine. Yeah. But if you don't have a beat on where this is, if you don't know how much traffic you're generally getting in organic, how many conversions you're generally getting, it's really hard to keep track of, like, you know, how much is this really worth to me, right? How much effort should I be putting in? So if we jump over to analytics, in the first one here, and we take a quick look, you can see here that I am in the analytics account. You can see that we're in all traffic acquisition here, all traffic channels on the side. And you can see here, if I can put this by, you know, sessions. Usually this will start in sessions. I was messing with this before, I'm sorry. We've not segmented anything here. We're just looking at all users because that's totally fine in this report. As we go down, we can see the default channel grouping, direct, referral, organic search is the one we want to pay attention to, right? So my advice when looking at this is you're looking at this organic search line in your Google Analytics. And what you're looking for, as I said, is you're looking for high traffic, you know, low bounce rate behavior, high number of conversions, high percentage of conversions, that sort of thing. So here we can see that over this period above here, which is Jan 2021 to end of Jan 2022, the number of searches that come through organic traffic, nearly 100,000. We can see that the bounce rate was 3.86%, incredibly low, great bounce rate. The average session duration was about a minute and a bit. It's not too bad. And you can see the goal conversion rate for all the goals that we have set up. So you can set up various types of goals, as I said, like a landing page view. You can set up goals for time on a certain page, stuff like that. And we can see that we've got a 15.84% conversion rate. This is how many goal completions we have. So say they were all form submissions. The 15.8% of this traffic is submitting a form that led to this much, 38,000 goal completions or forms submitted to us, or demo requests, or whatever that thing is for you, right? So if you set those up correctly, you're able to see this at an aggregate level. Now, this is pretty much all I want you to look at in here. It's sort of just like a real touch base on the aggregate level before you drill into our next report. I just want you to be aware of that. So the next thing you can do really is you can say, like, okay, I recommend looking at a month on month, right? So we're looking at obviously a longer time frame. So go up in this right corner here and you can say, okay, how did we do in all of January compared to previous period, which shows me all of December, right? If I go down here and I go organic search, big jumps here, 31% jump in traffic between December and January. We can see that if we scroll across here, I've zoomed in very fast so that it's easier to see. There we go. So to scroll across, if I go here to goal conversion rate, and I go back to organic traffic, goal conversion rate here, 11.51%, 11.58%. Not a big change in goal conversion rate. Not a big change in goal completions. About what? A couple hundred more. Not too bad. Goal value is 0 though, because we didn't set any goal values when we set all this up originally. But I would recommend when you set your goals up, you go ahead and do that and set up, say, a goal for a form submission is worth $100 to me. as a demo request lead or something like that. But that's a case by case basis. Is another thing that might require another video if we need to talk about how you should price that. So I think that's all I want you to look at here. Just look at it month to month. You can see these are positive numbers. That's cool. You can look at the same thing like year on year, previous year. I can apply the same problem, the same thing. And you can see there's big downwards trends over here for the aggregate. Organic search, however, is still up, right? 72% up year on year. So you can see that you've got a lot of things to mess with here that you can see. You can see that the conversion rate is down, even though traffic is up. So there's something that you might want to look at on a year-on-year basis as well. But on the total, I think it's most useful for most people, especially if you're just starting out, previous period, just a month on month. Keep it on that. Just see the top down, get a feel for what's happening on a monthly basis with your SEO. If we go back here before we move on, back in our slideshow, so it's easier. So the ideal scenario, as I said, high traffic, low bounce, high conversions. That's how you want to set this up. Gives you a very top-down view of how's my organic traffic looking, right? Simple one. Next one, landing pages reports. This is a final report that I want you to look at. And really, it's just about reviewing the actual pages where the traffic goes to so you can get an idea of what pages are important. So you can find this report under the sidebar there, under behavior, site content, landing pages. So you can see behavior here, site content, landing pages report. And you will have to filter this report. So if I jump out here and we jump over to analytics, I'm already in this report here. You can see I've filtered this report here. If we go back to this here is our channels report. I'm looking at all users. If I go back over here to our landing pages report, I'm filtered by organic traffic. Now, if you're not sure how to filter that, super easy. Everything will generally by default be under all users, right? And it will say whatever it says. To change that, you just do what I've done here. You click on the drop down, and then to find organic traffic, you would type in, the search bar off the side here, organic traffic, organic. What I found is really easy for me, seeing as I do this a lot, is you would go organic and you can star it. And then in the future, you just go to your starred segments and you can find it straight away. Really easy way to find that. So you want to filter this down because otherwise you're going to get data for all of the landing pages from all types of traffic, and you don't want to do that. So you're going to filter that down, and then if you go back over here, basically you want to be looking for specific problem areas, right? When you are reviewing this. So you're looking for a high bounce rate, low time on site, low conversions. When you look at that on a page level basis, right? Now, some pages aren't set up to convert. You don't want that page to convert. Its purpose isn't to convert. And that's totally all right. What you are looking for when you look at this report is like what pages are converting, what pages are driving traffic, what pages are people landing. So if I actually reduce this down and we have a quick look here, I'm filtered by organic traffic. I'm looking at, over a long period of time. Let's change this down to January, custom, last 30 days, no, this one to this one. I compare it to the previous period, December. So now we've got a list here of all the landing pages that organic traffic, people came from search from Google or Bing or whatever other organic search engines that there are out there that people are using these days. What pages they landed on first, right? And the reason we want to do that is because we want to see where people are landing, what pages are important, how they're interacting when they land on those pages. Because if you're generating all this traffic from high rankings, you want the people who get to those pages to fulfill the actions that you want them to fill, to read the content, to convert with you in the end. You want them to want to be there. And if they're not, then you know that you've got a problem somewhere, right? So you can see here, there's a list. I've got this / is just the homepage. Then I've got blog post, host hiring party, careers page, contact us, employer applications, applicant tracking system, etc. Right? So what do you want to do when you view this stuff, right? Well, you want to be looking at sessions, behavior of those sessions, and maybe all goals. And that one's an old one that's broken. We'll look at all goals out the gate here. So you want to say, okay, I can see here that the homepage generates the most landing page traffic so far. The number of goals, do the goal completions, so maybe that form submissions, demos, whatever, 2,545. We're up 8.30% on the last 30 days versus the previous period. I meant to do January, I apologize, versus previous period. There we go. All of January, all of February, December, sorry. Right, so you can see here, Right, now we can see here the increase in traffic here, sessions from organic traffic. We can see the goal conversion rate slightly down, not a big deal, 1.38%. But we're up on the total number of goal completions. So you're just trying to look at this on a page level, right? Because you know when you build out your site, what pages are meant to convert, what pages are meant to be sending people to sign up. You know, maybe it's a how-to, maybe, you know, if it's a template page and they're free templates are given away for Excel, it's probably not meant to convert to signups, right? But if it's a main landing page, like your homepage or a main services page, you'd want to be keeping track on like, hey, from organic traffic, this is ranking. Are people converting on it? How many people are converting on it? What does that look like? And you can jump in here, check that out in terms of traffic to contextualize between the traffic and the behavior, why the conversions are the way they are, right? So you can see traffic went up, bounce rate here is extremely low. It got even lower. Pages of sessions about the same. Session time is about the same. So all the behavior metrics are roughly the same for the homepage so far, but the conversion rate went down slightly, right? When we look at that, we just see that the number of conversions went up. So I would say you can attribute a lot of this to just fluctuations in the traffic. We got more conversions anyway, and it was only a slight move, not a big deal. Basically, it's performing as it should month on month. But if you see large fluctuations, you know, this is doubled here. So we haven't quite doubled traffic, 43% increase on this page, this host hiring party page. But we got 130% increase in conversions. Awesome for us, right? That's what we want to see. You're just looking for these metrics, right? So it's important because when you go and get too focused on getting a keyword to rank, you can forget there's like an actual outcome that needs to be generated by that, because the day-to-day of getting into like doing the marketing thing, the SEO thing, getting there, it has to be working towards something, right? And you want to know that those pages are leading towards some kind of conversion. So I recommend checking this. Again, it's the same. Check it on a month-on-month basis. Compare the data like this. Check it once a month with all the other stuff. If you set aside, I would say about an hour for this once a month, maybe 2 maximum, you could go through all this, set up then what you're going to write and what you're going to do for SEO for the rest of the month as well, and then just move on, right? There's no reason that you can't, you know, spend a small amount of time on this and just keep iterating. Go back to our slides here and make sure I didn't miss any points. Yes. So in terms of pages, as I said here, ideally what you want to see in this report is a lot of pages here that, you know, because we're sorting by session, so we've got the most traffic to it. Ideally, what you want to see over time is your homepage maybe and a lot of very important blog posts and landing pages generating the most traffic and generating these conversions, right? There's some pages we said, like this careers page, the the careers page, maybe T&C pages, you wouldn't expect to get a lot of traffic and you wouldn't expect to convert, and you wouldn't mind if they didn't. But this is going to help you contextualize each of those pages and really make sure that you've got an idea of, on a page level, is our SEO working? And that's it for this measurement one. Very simple, as I said, just those 4 reports, right? So site audit, make sure your technical stuff is organized. You can view that in Ahrefs. Ahrefs rank tracker, make sure the keywords are actually moving up. If the keywords are actually moving up, you'd expect to check the channels report and find that overall traffic is moving up because you've done your keyword research, you're starting to rank well for them. You'd expect to be getting clicks and that traffic to move up on an aggregate level. And it should be, right? And then if it is, you want to dig down into those landing page reports and you want to say, great, now I'm in the landing page report. And I've filtered this by organic traffic. What pages are actually converting for me? What pages are people actually landing on? How can I connect that? What can I do with those pages, right? So, you know, can I do some conversion rate optimization on these pages? Should I be checking to see if this page is broken because the bounce rate shot right up? You know, you can start looking at that and going, all right, now I've got an idea of not just how to rank, but I've got an idea of the consequences of the rank and what that means for my business. All right, that's the last module here. I hope that really helped you. If there's more that you want to know, feel free to reach out in the Slack channel and feel free to ask questions. Potentially, as I said a couple of times, I think that if this is a popular thing and people want to learn more and dig deeper, I am more than happy to come and add a new course or maybe more videos to this. Just depends on you guys and what the launch crew want to do. Thank you and goodbye.